Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Financial Advisors Workshop. And this is the show where we talk to our brethren, our folks in the industry who serve clients, financial advisors, hybrid advisors, registered investment advisors, and other folks that work with individuals and support them in their financial lives. So today we've got David Clayman, and he's with 12 Points Wealth Management, and he is from Concord, as you say, right?
Sure.
Not Concord.
Yes, sir.
So David, welcome to the Financial Advisor Workshop.
Brian, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, we had a little discussion before we started our official show today, and David told me a little bit about the firm. David, could you share with our guests how you got to your firm 12 Points, which is a great story, but let's hear the backstory first. How did you get there?
Sure. So I was fortunate to break into the industry in 1997 with Paine-Webber, who's no longer with us, and a true Boston firm, and actually got to work with one of the original family members for a little while in the original office down in downtown Boston. So,
wow,
very cool.
What year was that, David?
1997.
Okay, I was a 1984 Paine-Webber advisor in Oakland.
Okay, very cool. Well, we spent, I think if UBS didn't buy Paine-Webber, I maybe could have ended up spending my career there because that was a nice little boutique shop. I loved Paine-Webber, but UBS did buy us in 2000, and in 2009, my boss came to me, and as I mentioned, I do trade commodities, and I had a pretty sizable commodities business at the time, and he said, well, you might want to find a new home because we're not getting out of the business, but we're doubling margins and doubling commissions on all clients in 3 weeks. So, right. So 87% of the commodities advisors at UBS left the same week. So that was, we all got the same message. And I went to Smith Barney, and Smith Barney was bought by Morgan Stanley literally a week later.
Yes.
So that was not ideal. It was not the firm I originally signed up to go to work for, but I built a team there, and we ended up spending about 5 years there. And it was time to move on as I saw both clients and advisors making the move to the RIA channel. I decided it was time to do that for ourselves and decided to found 12 Points.
So that was about 2014, something like that?
May of 2014, yes, sir.
Excellent. Great. So, all right. So you did commodities, then you went to you were at Smith Barney, became Morgan. I was at the same way, by the way. For 5 years and left in 5 years. What a story! We have such parallels. And
yeah.
So then you move, and then you still have this commodity legacy, and I assume you still did some of that with Smith Barney and Morgan Stanley, right?
I did indeed, and that was a little bit of the rub too. My supervisor at the time was not a big commodities fan, so that was again part of the lack of fit when at Morgan Stanley.
Okay, great. Well, all right. So you found your home. You made your own home. And did you start it alone, or did you start it with a team that all came over at the same time?
We started with 5 people, so it was a junior advisor just out of the advisor training program. Francesca, she's my business partner now. It was my assistant at the time, now our chief compliance officer, and still my assistant, Kim. And a gentleman who came over as a friend of mine to do some research and be our co-chief investment officer. And Manny, who is also one of my partners, who was fresh out of the advisor training program as well. So started with 5 people and made our way.
And now, how many different practices, like different advisors in the firm?
So now?
Yes, now.
There are 7 different advisors with practices at the firm now, 27 total employees.
Okay, great. So then are they all similar practices, or are they all somewhat different?
Pretty similar. It's largely diversified by age and therefore experience and size of client. And then we largely as a firm work with business owners. That is who we're designed for, because we also have a business advisory practice where we can take advisors from raising capital to selling the business. So that works really well, that they're able to stay with the same continuous team throughout the life cycle from seed to sale of the business. We do have a couple of advisors who are specifically focused on empowering women in their financial journey. And some of those are business owners and some of those aren't.
Excellent. So Dave, you're an Eagle Scout, and so am I. So I always like to point out the Eagle Scouts, and you're also you've been the president of the local council, the Spirit of Adventure Council. Is that in suburban Boston? Is that a
That
suburban
is Boston and 27 surrounding communities. So yes, I'm
city?
currently the president.
Okay, very good. So are you president now?
Yes, I am still the president of the council at the moment.
Oh, very good, very good. So tell us, has that helped you? I think you've talked in terms of a mission and your feelings. So how did that all kind of play into the vibe of your firm?
Sure. So, well, as a fellow Eagle Scout, you probably recognize where the name of the firm came from, the 12 points of the Scout Law,
Of course.
and our logo, of course. So when we were
Oh, sorry.
exactly when we were leaving Morgan Stanley in 2013, the Edelman Survey of Industry had ranked financial services the least trusted industry in America.
Boy.
And unfortunately, we had earned that in the 2008 scandals and all that had gone on. So setting out to start a new firm, I thought two things. One, Concord, Massachusetts, where the American Revolution started, seemed like a pretty good place to start a revolution in financial services. And two, taking the Scout Law, whose first point is to be trustworthy, and adding it to the least trusted industry in America seemed a pretty good place to start. So that's where the themes for the firm came from.
Excellent. And if everyone followed those 12 points, the world would be a much better place.
I believe so. I do still struggle with reverent. I can't say I'm the most reverent person in the world.
Okay. That's the final one. And reverend. Right. That's great. Well, good. So, all right. So you build your practice now. How has it changed since you started your own firm and you've been free to do the things you wanted to do?
Sure. Well, it is definitely a process. And I think for people who think about breaking away from the brokerage model,
Yeah.
there's a lot of advantages and great freedom and ability. I can't think of the number of times where a client came to us and the first thing we'd have to say is we don't give tax or legal advice, and yet we call ourselves wealth managers. So it's kind of hard to manage someone's wealth without giving tax or legal advice. So that was always a challenge. At the same time, starting your own firm is not for the faint of heart. There is a lot of stuff that you have to do, from managing employees to legal documents to insurances to finance, that just doesn't come with running a practice. It's much different to run a business. So I guess my advice to myself 10 years ago might have been, maybe you want to join someone else's practice. It's a little hard to do it yourself. So, but it's been a fantastic ride and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It is definitely challenges.
Yes. And so the way you serve clients, that changed much as you've evolved the firm.
Sure. We've definitely become better. We've deepened our services. When we started, we did not have our retirement plan division. So we founded that in 2016, January of 2016, and it's become one of the fastest growing parts of the business. We grew it from 0 assets to 1.3 billion over the last just shy of 10 years now. And it's been a great success story. We're able to assist 170 companies in the running of their retirement plans and helping over 14,000 participants last year.
Wow. So of the other practices, are some of those practices just retirement plan practices?
They're not retirement plan practices only. The people who do the business development cross both sides of the boundary. We do now, as of 5 months ago, have a managing director of retirement who focuses just in that space.
Okay. Okay. So it's an additional service, but it seems to have become a very important service for your firm for sure.
Absolutely. It's been a great service. And, you know, especially the retirement plan area needs true expertise. And you come across a lot of people, no one likes this term, the 2-plan Tonys, who are running a plan and don't understand. And I was one of those people. When we were at Morgan, we started the retirement plan business because one of our clients came to us and said, I'd like to help you get the firm going. I'd like to give you my retirement plan. We said, okay. And he said, but you have to meet my third-party administrator. He brought in his third-party administrator who was a true expert. He said, okay, if you're going to run one of my plans, you need to do this, 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 and this to be compliant. And I said, we never did any of that. I've never heard of any of that stuff. So it really did become a specialization. And that's where I said, well, if we're going to have to do all of that, We're going to make this a business, like an actively sought after business. And we did that, and it's become a great success since then. So it was really a catalyst for the firm.
Nice. So, how has your individual client practice changed since you started the firm too, like in that area?
Sure. We were fortunate to add a gentleman, Chris Cahill, to the firm in January of 2016 as well. And he had expertise as a former trust and estate attorney. So the advanced planning skills that he's been able to bring to the firm have been invaluable as we look to help clients, as I mentioned, primarily business owners, think through, what does my legacy look like? How do I intentionally architect my legacy and ensure that all of my life's work will benefit myself, my family, and the people and causes I care about?
Nice. Nice. Okay. And do the advisors manage money on their own, or do you place money with managers?
We do manage money as a firm ourselves. We have a chief investment officer. He's been on Wall Street for 40 years now, and he's got a lot of experience. So he pulls the trigger. He is still an individual stock picker all these years later.
Fascinating. Is there a certain style? Are they relative strength? Are they is he a value manager? Or?
He is primarily value. So we're about a third large, mid, and small right now, and a bias, unlike most of the rest of the world, of about 65% value, 35% growth.
And so in this environment where the Magnificent Seven are running, how do you manage that? Because that could be pretty stressful if you're only in value names.
It has been, but thankfully most of our clients are in the stay rich business, not the get rich business. So they don't want the volatility that comes with the Mag 7, and they've been very happy with the slow and steady return. Now, we have younger advisors on the team who have clients who are younger as well, and therefore more growth is appropriate. So we've actually just been doing a lot of research, working to develop a frontier tech portfolio that will invest in not just a little bit of Mag 7, but robotics, nuclear, genomics, space, all those, blockchain. So all those things.
And do you guys do alternatives investing, David?
We're actually a heavy alternative shop. Our average client has between 20 and 30% in alts because, again, they're mostly in the stay rich business. Thankfully, gold was very good to us last year and helped us keep up with some of that Mag 7.
How do you do alternatives?
So we do them a number of different ways. For the clients who are not qualified purchasers, we utilize some ETFs and some interval funds. And for those who are qualified purchasers, we absolutely do direct investments through funds of funds, and once in a while a solo fund, but primarily we utilize fund of funds.
Okay. Very good. Well, that all sounds great. All right. So what do you see happening going forward? Where does your firm go, and your practice personally go? What does it look like the next 5 or 10 years?
Sure. So a year and a half ago, the team finally seemed ready for me to stand up and make the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, and I did. And it is 10 billion in wealth and 10 billion in retirement in 10 years. So the aim is a $20 billion firm, a national brand. I'm a very firm believer that if you treat people the right way and do the right thing the right way every time, that's a scalable brand, because too many firms have forgotten to do that and forgotten about client service. You can compete on, you mentioned the Mag 7, you compete on returns, someone's always going to beat you. You compete on price, someone's always going to be cheaper. You compete on service, and you can have clients for life. And we're very proud that most of our clients have been with us a very, very long time. And so in doing so, I believe that's a scalable brand people will want to join. And so we'll continue to see, so far our growth has been all organic. I suspect there will be inorganic growth in our future, and we'll continue to grow towards those levels, because that's probably 100 advisors to have asset numbers like that. So gonna get some work to do to go from 7 to 100.
Yes. Now, how do you plan to find 100 advisors?
Well, so far we're having good luck starting to attract people, and I think that's what's going to be. So, we have some people in the industry who've done this before and have some contacts. And then I think as well, if the brand reputation gets strong enough, people will start to be attracted to it. And that's happening in Massachusetts. I'm hopeful it'll happen around the country as well over time.
And David, do you work with recruiters, or do you just source potential advisors from your current contact?
Potential advisors have been current contacts so far. We have hired a couple of staff through recruiters.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So that's where we're going. That's a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes, sir.
That sounds exciting. Well, we wish you luck on that. Um, what do you see is going to change in the industry? What's your experience? It's
Very It's a very interesting question. I think a few things. One, I'm sure you saw the report last week that we're going to run 100,000 advisors short in the next decade because of the age of the average advisor. I think that it's going to be important to be able to utilize AI for a productivity tool. We right now don't allow any of our advisors to have more than 75 clients. I think over time, you're probably going to need to have more than 75. But in order to do that, you're going to need some tools that help you be efficient and effective enough to do that. Those haven't existed to date.
Okay.
And then I think part of the reason you're going to need that is I think the fee model is going to change. Everybody's become very comfortable. I joke with clients all the time. There must have been a conference at Yalta where everybody decided we charge 1% because that's what everybody does.
Right.
And I think that what people forget, you've been in the industry long enough, I have as well. It wasn't always fee based. I remember that becoming a thing in 99, 2000 was really the first time people started doing that. And I think that it is likely that the retainer model probably is where the industry goes over time because I could speak for our firm. I hear it a lot, so I imagine it may be similar for you. We all emphasize that planning is the most important thing we can do for our clients.
Right.
And our pricing is all based on our assets, and that sounds investment related. So I think the pricing model doesn't match up with the message, and I think there's a very strong chance that we're all going to have to go to a retainer model over time.
Okay. Are you planning that in your firm now?
We are actively having conversations about what that landscape looks like over the next few years.
Okay, good. So you could go to like a charging for a plan instead of charging for the AUM.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Good. So this really sounds great, and you've got a great practice, and so it's been really fortunate that we've been able to find you and have a conversation with you. So now, with your success, through your Payne Weber and your commodity trading and all the other things, the diversion to Smith Barney, Morgan Stanley, which I call the diversion as well. So going forward now, what do you see for the industry? Where do you think the industry is going to go? You said we're going to be 100,000 advisors short, but what does it look like in the future, do you think?
Well, I have a few hopes for where I think it's going to go. As I mentioned, I think that the uh, retainer model is going to become more popular. I think that life planning might become a joint venture with financial planning. So I think there's going to be more of that. I'm sure you've run into the challenge when you can do the best financial plan in the world, but if it's not implemented, it doesn't matter. And you come out with a great roadmap for clients to follow, and lo and behold, they get busy and the trusts don't get written or the trusts don't get funded, or we can't decide who the kids are going to go to. We as an industry, in my opinion, have not done a good enough job capturing people's values and tying those values to what the financial plan is for. So saying to someone, okay, your number one value is your family, and yet you still haven't done your trust that protects your family. Do you see how that's disconnected? And helping people to understand that, I think, is going to become a big part of the industry. So really those life planning, life goals, designing your intentional legacy is all going to become one and the same role, in my opinion. And, I also hope, and I'm in the category with you as well, I hope we become a less pale male and stale industry. We need diversity. So that we need more female advisors. Frankly, I think most female advisors are better than male advisors because women historically listen better than we do. So listening is a big part of our job. So I think that we can use some less pale male and stale. So that's what I'd like to see for our industry.
So you've been a great success, and I thought maybe if you could share with us, is there any one particular thing that has led you to this success? Like if you could share with all of our listeners who are mostly advisors, but probably not all, how did you build this 12 points? How do you kind of conceive all this? How do you get to where you are? Is there one secret sauce, or is there a series of things?
Well, fortunately, I've been able to collect some great talent on my team, and it really is about the team that we've built. But what I can say more than anything is it's just blood, sweat, and tears. I wish there was magic. We grind. I tell people, I get to speak as the president of Scout Council. I get to speak to kids all the time. And I tell them, when you walk in a room, there's always going to be someone who's smarter than you. There's always going to be someone who's better looking than you. There's always going to be someone that has more money than you. But there's zero excuse for letting someone outwork you. That's the thing you can control. And I believe that's driven our success. We have sacrificed, frankly, a lot of life to build what we've built. And we're very proud of that. And I don't think there's any magic other than just working our tails off.
Yes. So hard work, as it turns out, is the solution.
To me, that's the answer.
Nice. Nice. Well, this is really great. This has been a great session. Learned a lot, and it's an honor to hear the story and how you've done it. And we hope you're right. I think the industry is changing, and we've seen many iterations from the Payne Weber days forward about how things have changed. And it sounds like your vision might actually be the one that goes forward. So we'll see how it goes. So thank you, David, for being with us today on the Financial Advisors Workshop.
Thanks, Brian. It was really an honor. I appreciate you having me.
Great. And thanks everybody for being with us. We're going to be back again with another interview with a great advisor. David's got some great ideas, and it's amazing to watch what you've done, David, and how all the advisors, we learn from each other, and that's what this is all about. So thanks again, everybody. We'll be back, as I said, again, with another episode very shortly. Over and out for today. Thanks so much.